All right, go ahead. Tell me about it. Explain to me why you feel that way.
Well, it started on day one.
Catching Up therapy session.
Yeah. Instead of what's it called?
All right, let's just not waste 20 minutes. Let's just cut to the chase here. Welcome back. I'm
Patreon.
Tyler.
There we go. Gabriel, nice to meet you guys.
And we're the Catchin Up Podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. If this is not your first time tuning in, hi. You already know of us, so we don't need to introduce ourselves.
What up?
Yeah, you're cool with us. You get the handshake already, you know.
You get the dab up.
All right, cool. Well, let's go ahead and cue that intro so we can get this started. All right.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the show is about to start. Introducing Catchin Up
I customize
Podcast.
mine because I'm bougie.
It's not a 9, but it's not an 8.5 either. Like,
Why are you this picky?
you have to be the one to open the door. You have to be the one to open your heart.
It's not about you. It's about touching other people's lives.
Catching Up Podcast. If you're not caught up, you're catching up.
I don't necessarily know what that means.
Boom.
I wonder if I could
explosion.
do one like Spider-Man. Like, you
No,
could do
just-
like a web. One
That'd be
day.
crazy.
Maybe
One day.
AI can do it for us. Actually, we don't use AI.
Ever. I don't know what AI is, actually. All right.
All right,
So,
Gabe, why don't you set this up? This was your idea for reviews.
all right. It was my idea because my friends at work kept talking about the Apple Cinnamon Croissant at Starbucks. So I was like, so that sounds fire. So obviously, after many weeks, I was able to convince Tyler to try it.
It wasn't
So-
that. It was just that we kept doing like night episodes for like the past couple times, I think.
Yeah.
So we were just like, it's kind of pointless to like go to Starbucks at night. I don't even know if they'd still have like, I'm sure they don't have as much food. I don't really know though. They're kind of open late, so maybe they do.
Anyways, back to what I was saying because that was more entertaining than the truth. Yeah, so here we are. We got the... Hold on, grab it. Honestly, right off the bat, Tyler and I both agree. Way smaller than I expected. I expected like a big
Gonna make a
croissant.
joke there, but I'm not.
But yeah, so
Yeah, it's tiny. Like, look at this thing.
it's small.
Well, especially, when you think about
It
a
smells great.
croissant, they're usually like, they're
Bigger.
They're probably like 3 times this size,
Yeah, literally. But it smells like an apple pie from McDonald's.
Smells very good.
Yeah. I'm excited. It looks like this.
Yeah, so the
Um,
apple croissant from Starbucks.
Yeah, I think they put like apple jam in the inside. So I guess we're just gonna.
Jam?
Yeah. So
Let's-
cheers.
Let's jam our way into this.
I hate you. So as you can tell, there's not that much filling on the inside. I thought there was gonna be like a big ball of filling. There's not. There's just a thin little layer, I guess. But it is pretty good.
I got a coffee on the side in case it wasn't good. Because
Yeah,
Gabe instructed
same.
me to do so.
Yeah. I was like, let's get a coffee just in case this sucks.
Okay. So, yeah. Off the bat, taste-wise, it's great. Like, it's croissant, apple pie filling. It's really good. Again, it's very small, so, like, I don't think it's going to be very filling. I think it's more of just, like, a little snack. Like, you get a sandwich and you want a little sweet treat on the side, And I would prefer more filling. Like, there's not a lot of filling in there at all. I would prefer a little bit more. You know what I mean? Just to add, because I feel like there's so much croissant. You know what I mean? Like, it kind of, you get like a hint of the apple filling, and you get more croissant than that. And I'm like, I kind of would like, because when you get an apple pie from like McDonald's or somewhere that does those like small ones, right? It's like, it's a crust, and then the whole entire thing is the apple pie filling. It's like majority is the filling. You like burn your mouth because the filling, like, so for the smallness and for the filling reasons, I'm gonna have to drop it down to a 7.5. But the taste is, I do actually really like the taste. Like, I'm about to finish this, so it's good. It's just for the size and the filling, like they could have done better, in my opinion.
All right, so I 100% agree with everything you said. I think there should have been more filling. I think it should be a little bit bigger. It's honestly because there's not that much filling. It's a little dry, and for someone that like usually if I get a pastry on the side, I get the cheese Danish, and it honestly has like the dough itself for the croissant is really good, but because there's like that lack or absence of jam, I guess you could say, or filling, it's a little dry. So I honestly, it was so hyped up. Like I'd get it again. Don't get me wrong, but just because it was so hyped up to me, I'm giving it a 6.5.
Ooh, he brought the hammer down.
Yeah, I'm like this is good. If I get, I'm not gonna be upset, but I'm never gonna pick it. I'm always gonna go with the cheese Danish.
I think this might be our lowest scores on reviews on food so far. Usually we're easy critics. We're like, 8.
We're like, it tastes good. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, and I was curious because when I bit into mine, I was like, oh, maybe they just, skipped out on the filling on mine. But like, he's in Florida, I'm in California. If we're both getting the same experience, like, this is just how they're doing it,
Yeah. No, for sure.
It
looks like it's gonna have a bunch. Like if you look at the top, it's like it almost looked like they pinched it and twisted it. So then there's like filling coming out of where the cracks are. So you think it's like overflowing, and it's not. It's
you
like
know what?
just
I'm
right
docking
there.
half a point for deceptiveness. 7.
Yeah. You're
but
going to hell.
It's good. I would definitely recommend trying it. If you're like curious about it, for sure. Like it's good. It's tasty. But don't get your hopes up. It's not like Starbucks' greatest new thing,
No, not at all.
At all.
But yeah, now on to the next topic of conversation because
wait, we have
I'm
another
not trying
topic?
to get canceled. I'm not trying to get canceled by Starbucks because apparently they reply to our stuff.
Yeah, they did respond to our last video when we did the iced cherry chai, and they said, I think they like commented something because we said it was too sweet, and like we didn't even say it was too sweet. We just said that it was sweet. Like that was it. They were like, get one less pump of this, and I was like, we gave it a good score, bro. Like, what you hating for?
Yeah, they were acting like we were like, this is the worst drink ever. I don't know. I felt like there was a lot of animosity and attitude.
Yeah,
but I could just be reading into things.
I think they should send us free gift
Free.
cards. Honestly,
Yeah.
for this experience.
Honestly, after everything they've put us through with the deception, the attitude, the money they're taking from us, like I that's the least they could do.
He said, honestly,
send us a gift card.
lifetime coffee free. We want it.
We'll review everything.
Honestly, I'd be down.
I'd be down too.
I love.
So let us know.
Trying things out, bro.
Come on, Starbs.
All right. So next up, we're gonna call to business. So first of all, happy Easter to everybody out there. This episode probably will come out. It's gonna come out next week, so it'll probably be like the week.
The episode that came out today, we already said Happy Easter.
Oh well, this is the post Easter Happy Easter.
Oh, okay, so it's different. I forgot.
You got to do the before and you got to do the after.
This is post resurrection Happy Easter.
Yeah, so it's like hope you had a good time. So anyways, I hope you guys had a great one. I went to service with my girlfriend, her best friend, and her boyfriend, and it was really fun. It was a whole outside service. They like set up a whole stage out there. That way they could basically do one service instead of 3 different intervals throughout the day. Is that how yours did it? Did they just do like intervals?
Like multiple services?
Yeah.
Yeah, my church does that anyways, though.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they do that on like regular Sunday services. They'll have multiple, but I think for like Easter, they try to just get it as one. Like last year, it was inside and they did multiples because the weather was bad, but yeah, this year. It was,
no,
so
my
it was cool.
church, my old church used to do this like sunrise service over the lake, but the one I go to now doesn't.
That's fire. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, it was dope because the sun would be rising over the lake, and then they'd put like the cross right there too, right where the sun's gonna rise. So the sun's rising behind the cross. It's pretty dope.
They had the theatrics with it. Okay.
Yeah, and then people from our church that had boats would be on the lake listening to the service.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's next level.
That's Windermere for you.
Yeah, facts. So, anyways, a part of the sermon that spoke to me that I wanted to bring to the table here, because it's something that I've also wanted to talk about on the podcast for a little bit, just because of different experiences and different like conversations I've had / heard. But this one, I was like, oh, okay, I feel like this could be a good, place to jump into that, because my pastor was, talking during a sermon, and he was saying how important it is for us to spread the gospel. And more so, he was talking about like for anybody who's out there in the crowd, because obviously like, people invited their friends, people invited different family members, people may have just invited, posted something on social media and told people to come. It's a free event, you don't have to pay to get in. And he was just basically calling, those who are there, like that if they haven't accepted Jesus Christ as their savior, to seriously give a consideration, because you don't know when your last day is. Like, none of us do, right? Like, he doesn't, I don't, nobody does in that crowd. And so, he was saying how there were people that he knew that were at service last year for Easter that weren't there this year. And not just because they didn't want to attend, it's because they had unfortunately passed on, they've crossed over. And hopefully for them, they've accepted Jesus as their savior before they have passed on. But just the whole, that kind of brings in the whole point of like why it's so important for us to spread the word, to speak about the good news as Christians, because there's so many different things that go into that. I mean, the biggest thing is that we're called to do so, but because also like you never know when your friend or your family member or this random person you come across, you never know when it's going to be their last time. And you don't know if you could have just said one thing to make them at least consider. Nothing you ever say or nothing you ever do is going to be the reason that somebody accepts Christ. It's always going to be him, but you can be the one to plant the seed, and then he'll take the rest. He'll water it, So we're just going to like go over that a little bit and kind of give like our thoughts and opinions. So first off, I'll pass off to Gabe. Gabe, as Christians, are we called to spread the gospel? Like, is it biblical? Is it something that we're supposed to do? Or is it just because we want to?
No, it's literally called the Great Commission. Like, it literally has a word for it. It's what Christians are called. I think it's in Matthew. Hold on.
28:19.
So yeah, Matthew 28:19 is literally calling us to follow the Great Commission, which is spreading the word of the God and spreading the kingdom. And yeah, so it's like legit, like word for word in there. So yeah, we're definitely called.
Yeah, and I think, it's just like, again, it's because, like, think about it. After all these years, me and Gabe have been friends, right? He was never overly pushy about it. He was never like, hey man, you have to, like, if, we're not going to be friends if you don't, or if you don't, you're going to hell. Like, it was never like that. He was always really good about like just kind of explaining his perspectives, and like whenever we would have like deeper conversations, he would give his perspective of like, oh, well, this is what God is doing in my life, or this is how God is working in my life, or this is some challenge that I'm facing in my life, and this is how I'm relying on God to get through this situation. And for me, it was always like, oh, this is like the universe and how the universe is impacting me, But I think that leads into like there are really there are different ways to spread the gospel, or like allow somebody to hear the good news without necessarily like shoving it in their faces, like, this is what I believe and this is what you need to believe. You know what I mean? Like, for example, like with him, like, again, if you're having conversations with your friends, right? And they're going through something, they're going through a breakup, they're going through a struggle in their life. Maybe they lost somebody, maybe they lost their job. Like, I don't know, they're going through a tough time, right? You could just be like, hey, can I pray for you? And like through your prayer, that can get them to be like, oh, wow, like that's, maybe they felt something, maybe they experienced something, maybe they're just like, wow, like I've never had somebody pray for me before. That was really cool. Like maybe it just sparked something in them that then leads them to be curious now. You know what I mean? And in a way, like that is spreading the gospel. You're showing somebody like the power of prayer right there, you know? And I also think that like then having conversation, like me and him, again, I think a lot of it can relate to our relationship. Like we would just have questions about it with each other. Like, hey, why do you believe what you believe? Or what do you think happens when you die? You know, we would have these conversations, and obviously he would give his perspective, I would give my perspective, and we both respected each other's opinions. Like it was okay that I believed this, and it was okay that he believed that. We were still able to coexist and be great friends. And over time, like, again, when I finally had my eyes and my ears open to Christ, I was able to go to him. I was able to feel comfortable going to him and being like, hey, man, I have all these questions. Like, would you be able to help me out and walk me through these? And it was really powerful because I felt comfortable. I was like, I know he's not going to judge me. I know he's not going to judge the questions that I bring, right? Because sometimes you could be like, oh, well, I don't know if he'll get mad if I'm asking this question. Like, no, I knew that he was a very open-minded and open-hearted person, and he's going to accept the questions as they are. And I'm sure that he's had his own struggles and doubts as well. But again, being somebody that people know that you're a Christian, they know what you believe, they know what you stand on. And they also feel comfortable enough that they can come to you and speak to you about these things if they become curious, if they for some reason have a spark in them, you know. And I think these are really good ways of how to spread the word, like in your inner circle, more so like your family, your friends, your coworkers, because these are ways where like you're just kind of, it's the way you live, it's the way you speak, it's your actions and your words that are allowing people to hear and see the gospel. And I think just one more thing to tie into that, and then I'll let him go into it, is also just like speaking about how God is working in your life, right? Like that's a very personal thing. You know, if somebody's like, hey, like, how are things going? Like, how's this? How's that? Whatever. You can kind of, if you can share an experience of like how God has worked in your life, whether that's through prayer, whether that's through something you read in the Bible, whether that's something that you had an experience at church, or you learned something in the sermon at church that really spoke to you, you know, you can bring that to the table and just be like, this is what I experienced. This is like something that I shared recently. This is something I'm praying for. This is something that happened. And through that, like, again, they might just be like, oh, cool, you know, and they might just go off and about their day. But like, you never know what nugget you just planted inside of somebody's head when you speak about these things. And so I think that's why, like, these are really I would say just like different ways to spread the gospel rather than just being like, hey, I want to tell you the good news, which I'm not saying is a bad thing by any means. I think that we should also do that as well. But I'm saying these are other ways we can do it to where it's not like, quote unquote, shoving your beliefs in somebody's face, you know? What about you?
Well, that was a lot. Excuse me. Yeah, I love our story. I feel like our story is, I always bring it up because I feel like it's the perfect example of, not like the best way to evangelize, but like gentle evangelization, I guess is the word to call it. Because I'm trying to like figure out where to start on what I'm going to say. It's like, one, everyone plays a role in each other's lives, right? And you don't determine what role you play. It's already written, right? So there's the person that goes and plants the seed. There's the person that goes and waters the seed. There's another person that goes and takes care of the plant, helps it nurture, you know, gives it fertilizer, all that stuff, right? And then there's a person that reaps the fruit. And I think a lot of the times people they take it upon themselves and put a lot of pressure on themselves, thinking like, oh, I need to do this. Like, I could have very well been like, yo, Tyler, you got to come to church with me, man. Like, and made it my mission to like convert him. Right. And the first mistake there is thinking I can do anything. Literally, it's not me at all. It's 100% Jesus. And that's all it is. So I think people almost take evangelizing a little personal in a way. You know what I mean? So I think there's a misconception on how to do it because of that. Like, people put a lot of emphasis on like changing lives, even though it's not them.
Yeah.
But me realizing that it isn't me, it's like my role was to just gently plant seeds in Tyler's life. Like did I invite him to church? Absolutely. Did he say no? Absolutely. Did I get mad? Not at all. Was I every single week? Was I like every single week? Tyler, you want to come to church? Tyler, you want to come to church? No, I wasn't. I wasn't annoying, because at the same time, I know that whenever he comes is because God wants him to be there, not because I want him to be there. So he's going to show up on God's timing, not mine. My job is to keep planting that seed. And then he'd go. He went to like 2 worship nights to support me. Probably wasn't listening about anything, but it's a start.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
then he moves to California. Then he meets his girlfriend, who's also Christian. Then I already planted the seed. Now she's over there, like, taking him to church. Like, he's more willing to do it, or whatever the case may be. But she's over there watering that thing. You know what I mean? That wasn't my role to play. And instead of taking it to heart, it's just like, wow, look at the glory of God. Like, I was able to be a part of his journey, because at the end of the day, what matters is his soul being saved. Right? And at the end of the day, he came back. I probably shed a little light on that, helped some photosynthesis happen on that little plant of his, because he was able to come and reach out to me. But that's just because everything I did was out of love. You know what I mean? It was out of compassion. It was out of understanding. I never once was like, there's a difference between having a conversation, having a debate. We never had debates. It was always like, I genuinely was trying to figure out why he thought the way he did, so I could better understand him and why he acts the way he does. But then also, like, how does that relate to me? Do I have an answer for that? And I think something that people that stops people from evangelizing or talking about Jesus is not having all the answers. And one of my mentors, literally, I was talking to him before I got on the phone with Tyler. I was like, I'm freaking out. I don't know what he's gonna ask. Excuse me. I don't know what he's gonna ask me. What if I don't know the answer? And he goes, well, that's the beauty of it. You don't know every answer. You're not supposed to have all the answers. Sometimes saying, I don't know, but I'll find out for you, is all you need to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's like different things like that to like take a little pressure off yourself, because there's bad ways to do it too, like the turn and burn theory of like, oh, if you turn, like, I literally witnessed this at work one time, my old jobs, where a guy went up to this guy that claimed that he was Christian. He's like in your face, always like can't have a conversation without him bringing up Jesus because he's trying to evangelize. So like I get it, but it always came off really aggressive. And then one time he turned to one of the guys at work and he goes, why don't you believe in Jesus? Why do you live the way you do? And he goes, I don't know, I just don't. He goes, well, if you don't, you're going to go to hell. Whoa. You know what I mean? Like, that's like really aggressive. And that's like that's a really, not saying it doesn't work, because God's going to move when God's going to move. But,
Absolutely, sure.
But more often than not, especially in today's day and age, that's not effective. And then, treat your neighbor as yourself, right? Like, treat your neighbor as you want to be treated. And love the Lord your God. Those are the 2 most important commandments. That being said, some people will be like, oh, well, as long as I'm a good person and I'm nice and I'm kind, I'm just showing them Jesus through my actions. I don't need it. And look, it's effective. Like, you might be a light in their life and you might be doing all these good deeds, but actions, what is it? I forget what it says, but it's like, works without faith mean nothing or something like that. And it's essentially, it's like you can literally do that and have a whole life with someone and be kind to them. And if you don't tell them that you believe in Jesus and that you're Christian or whatever you believe in, right, they might just never know. Like, you got to actually speak up about it, which is why God calls us to talk about it, because that's how you spread the word. It doesn't matter what your actions are. You can be a good person or a bad person. That doesn't mean someone's going to be like, oh, this is what they believe in because of their actions. Yeah. You know what I mean? This has to be their motivation. So, yeah. I kind of got a little sidetracked, but
no, that makes sense. I like that a lot. And I think something that you brought up when you were talking about with not having all the answers, I think, and this is something that I struggle with a lot too, with like evangelizing, is like taking the ego out of it, right? Because I feel like when you feel like you're gonna have every single answer, you're basically thinking you're gonna play God, right? Like not even the top biblical scholars or the top evangelists, you know, the people who are out doing this every day, they're not gonna have the answer to every single question because the Bible doesn't answer every single question. You know what I mean? It gives us answers, it gives us information, it gives us light on a lot of things. But there are some questions that like you just can't answer, and there are some questions that like you know at this point in time like I just don't know the answer to because I've only been a Christian for a year and a half, but I do want to go out and I do want to spread the word and I do want to tell people about it. And so I think like taking that ego out of it and realizing, again, going back to the point where you say what you were saying about how it's about having a conversation. It's about I actually care about this person. And if I believe what I believe, I want to save their soul, right? So I want to understand where they're coming from. How do I put myself in their shoes and see, oh, this is how they're seeing the world? You know, maybe like for Gabe, he was never really in my shoes because he was a Christian all of his life. I wasn't. And so I was seeing the world through a different set of eyes than he was. So, you know, he was able to kind of step back and be like, "Oh, let me look at it from his perspective and see like this is how he's viewing things. This is how he's viewing life." And he was able to kind of tie that into where, oh, well, you know, like if these are, it's all God. You just don't see it as that, but like that's all God working in your life. And so, you know, if you can take the ego out of it, if you can take the mentality of I have to do this because I want to be a good person and I want you to believe in this. Or if you can switch that to be like, hey, I really care about you and I really want to see you in heaven with me. You know what I mean? So like I wanna have a conversation with you so that we can both try to see each other's sides. And again, even if you guys don't come to an agreement at the end, that seed is still there. That thought is still there. And it always was like with me and him, like I always had that in the back of my mind and it was always there. But I never, again, it just took me a little bit longer to really see the full scope of it all. And then, you know, one last thing I just want to touch upon real quick, because I thought this was really, really interesting. And I've heard it a lot because I watch a lot of Cliff Connectley videos and he quotes this a lot, but the quote's a little bit longer than what he says. And it's actually, so it's from the magician, Penn Jillette from Penn and Teller. At the time that he said this, he was like a full-blown atheist. I don't know what he is nowadays. I think this quote is a little bit old. But yeah, at the time he was like a full-blown atheist. And he said, I've always said that I don't respect people who don't evangelize. He said another word, but I'm going to say evangelize because it just is, I think, a little bit easier to understand. He said, I've always said that I don't respect people who don't evangelize. I don't respect that at all. If you believe that there's a heaven and a hell, and people could be going to hell or not, or people could be going to hell or not getting eternal life, and you think that it's not really worth telling them this because it would make it socially awkward, and he's like, and you have atheists who think people shouldn't say this or shouldn't evangelize and who just say, leave me alone, you know, keep your religion to yourself. How much do you have to hate somebody to not tell them what you believe, you know, and to like kind of just, you know, put this into a shorter form. He's basically saying like, how much do I have to hate you, right, to believe that for my personal belief, right, if I believe that Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, the life, and that he, you know, nobody goes to the Father except through him. So if I believe that Jesus Christ is the way to heaven, and I fully 100% believe that with my heart, my mind, my soul, and I don't at least try to tell you, or I don't at least try to just have a conversation with you, or I don't at least try to, you know, talk to you about it, how much do I have to hate you? Like, if you really think about it. And so that's just something that I say to those people who are in the mindset of, oh, yeah, your religion, keep it away from me. I don't want to hear about it. Or like, I don't care. Why do you care about me anyways? You know, because we care about everybody, right? Like, I don't have to know you. I don't have to, quote unquote, like, you know, have a relationship with you or have a friendship with you or bond with you. Like, this is for everybody. And if I truly believe this, like everybody that I come across should hear about this. And that's something that I struggle with a lot, like just being honest. Like it's something that is hard for me to speak about and to infuse into everyday conversations because there is so much stigma. It does make things awkward, right? Like, again, like, let's just say for an example with work, like, I don't want to go ahead and necessarily evangelize at work because I work with a small team, right? So like, if I say something that might upset somebody or they get triggered for whatever reason, not that I'm coming at it aggressively, but I feel like people can have very up and down reactions when it comes to religion. Like, then it can make the whole work environment different, you know? And so I again, I think there's different ways to do it, right? I think the people who are out there with the street signs yelling at people, you're going to go to hell if you don't repent. Like, I think that's a bit aggressive, right? Like, I think I'm shoving this in your face. But hey, again, maybe that works for some people. Like Gabe said, maybe some people need that harsh evangelism. You know what I mean? But for the people that aren't Christians out there, I would just say that if you have somebody in your life who's trying to pray for you or is trying to talk to you about Jesus or is trying to evangelize to you in one way, shape, or another, right? As long as they're doing it respectfully, understand that they're coming at it with a place of care, with a place of, hey, I care about you, I love you, and I don't want to see you in eternal damnation. You know what I mean? Because that is way more serious than anything on this earth. I mean, this is this blip of a life that we're living compared to eternity. So like, you really have to take that into perspective.
You know, greatly said. I do have something that I want to say that might be an unpopular opinion.
Hot take.
Yeah, hot take. But I actually, it's a personal thing. I'm not saying it doesn't work for people, but I don't think it's really effective a lot of the time, especially from speaking with people that don't believe and how they perceive people trying to go up to them and stuff like that. Because I get the whole thing like, oh, well, you should tell everyone in the world because who are you to not, like, that's like disrespectful, like you don't care about them, right? Like, how much can you hate someone to not bring it up, right? But then I think sometimes people take that too literally of like, I have to I have to tell every single person I cross paths with.
Sure.
And I think that's just you trying to play God of like, it's me that's doing it. It's me that's spreading it. I got to do that instead of waiting for it to be called. Because I think when you bring it abruptly, everyone I've talked to and I've seen it too, where it's like, it's just uncomfortable, where you just like start a conversation. Hey, do you know Jesus?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I'm not saying it's not effective to some people, but like, for example, like Bryce Crawford will go up to like, and other people will go up to random people at like parades or something like that, and then just start talking to them like with cameras in there and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes it kind of bothers me because I'm like, I wouldn't like that if they were talking to me about something that I don't believe in. You know what I mean? As opposed to waiting for it to come out organically, as in like build a relationship. Because if people, you know, if they're willing to do it, cool. But I'm just saying, like, I think that sometimes comes off so aggressive, and I'm on a mission.
Sure.
Like, I'm here, like, I'm trying to convince you to follow Jesus. Like, no, think about it, if you were in their position of like, they're trying to convince you to believe in a different God or believe in nothing at all. Like, you probably wouldn't like that. You know what I mean? And I think that's why it's important to actually like listen to when the Spirit's calling you to talk about it, because that's what I avoided doing with Tyler. There were plenty of times where I just wanted to be like, you know what I mean? Or just like bring it up. Like, why? You know what I mean? Like, just kind of be a little more upfront. But no, I waited for things to come up organically. And like, obviously I always nudged it that way. You know, like, for example, you at your job, like, you don't have to be like, so do you know Jesus did because of this. No, like, you can simply just subtly bring it up. Oh yeah, last Sunday at church.
Yeah.
Oh, you go to church? Yeah, I do. There, boom. That is a seed. Oh, wow. That person, whether they make assumptions about you or not, now they know. Now they're going to start looking at you. Then you got to follow up your actions. And then that, following up your actions with them knowing that might lead you to actually having a good conversation about it. Not just abruptly in your face being like, yo, have you met JC? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing too, is like, you, like I said, people take it too personal of like, I need to tell every single person in this world. It's okay if you don't, because sometimes it's not meant for you to tell them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is like unpopularly said.
Yeah, I mean, I have two quick points with that, and then we can move on to our next thing. But the one point about like the people like Bryce Crawford's or things like people who go out and street preach, right? Because I do watch a lot of his videos, and it's an interesting dilemma because you watch his videos and like even you might see 9 out of 10 people walk away and be like, I don't want to hear this. This is not what I want to hear. Get put off by it, right? But then you always see at least 1 or 2 people that actually sit there and have a conversation with him. And I think it's because it's all about how you're approaching it, right? Like with him, he's very good about just like he has a very calm demeanor about himself, like just specifically speaking to him. And
yeah, and he's very respectful too.
He's very respectful, and he also goes. I love how he always goes into his own testimony first. He's not like, well, why do you believe this? Well, you should believe this. Like he goes into his. He's like, I used to hate Jesus, man. I used to hate God. I used to do this and that and blame him for this and that. Like I grew up in a Bible Belt. Like I understand you, bro. I was where you were. Like he's very good about relating to the people that are in that situation as well. But again, like if he took a different approach and he was super aggressive and super, questioning and just like not letting the other person speak and just trying to shut them down. Like, so there are definitely, there are different ways to go about it. And like you said, I think like, again, 3 years ago, if somebody would have came up to me and started talking to me like that, I probably would have been the one who walked away, but again, I think there is a lot of positive in it when even if, again, 9 out of 10 people walk away, but one person says, hey, you just reached one person, But
well, you didn't, God did, but yes.
Well, yeah, exactly. But like you were
kidding.
the one out there. And then what was the second thing you were saying? It was really quick. I just had a point on. You said that, and then would you go into? He's like, dude, you're expecting me to remember? Like,
yeah, I was like, when I go on tangents, I just flow, and I don't even know what I said.
Yeah, you were saying something about, you were saying like him going out, and then us having conversation, and like you don't have to.
It can come off aggressive.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it'll come back to me at some point.
Yeah. Either way, God's timing, not your timing. It took 7 years for Tyler to finally come. I've been praying for 7 years, planting seeds for 7 years.
Yeah, exactly.
It's okay.
And so that's the thing too, is like don't get upset with people in your life if they don't. You know what I mean? Like I think that's again really quick. That's a big thing. Is like once you've seen the other side, right? Like I had this note too, really quick. Like once, because people can be like, oh, well, why do you have to say this, or why do you have to speak about this? It's like because once you finally come to Jesus, like, bro, that becomes the center of your life. Like this is your foundation. This is your belief. He's giving you purpose for your life, and this is what you're basing your values and your viewpoints and everything on. So obviously, like this is a part of who you are now, and so you're going to want to speak about it, right? So just find ways to, when people don't see it your way, like, it's okay. Again, me and him, best friends, years, decades. And it took a long time for me, but he continued to pray, he continued to, drop little nuggets here and there. And eventually over time, again, he was the one person that I could go to and talk to about this. So again, just be a good friend, be a good Christian, not to get into heaven, but just because you care about this person, and be somebody that they can find comfort in, and that they know that they can come to when the time comes for them, that they are curious or that they want to know more,
Man, yeah, I could add stuff, and we could keep talking about this for another hour and a half, but we're running low. But
okay,
yeah, I think that was a good little deep dive.
Okay,
tell us what you think.
Next up, I love going to the movies. Going to the movies is probably one of my favorite things to do, like ever. That's why I'm so glad I live in LA, because they have a bunch of different like little mini theaters that show film, like Tarantino's and the Vista, which they're playing Scream at the Vista on Friday night. I'm like, man, why
then FaceTime me,
bro? I wish, bro. They have a strict no phone policy at these
I bet.
independent theaters. Like they do not play, bro. One time when I first went there, they say it in the beginning, but when I first went there, it gets really dark in there. Like there's if you think like an AMC is dark, like it gets really dark in these other theaters. And so I took my phone out to see where my seat was because I couldn't see, and they like ran up and they're like, "Put that away," and I was like, "Whoa."
Whoa.
Anyways, so my question is, what has been your favorite movie theater experience in terms of a movie that like just blew you away, or you just had a really fun time at the movie theaters, or you just felt really emotionally invested, like you went to the movies and you were like, wow, I'm gonna remember this forever.
There's two instances. One is when Avatar 2 came out. Excuse me. I watched it in like laser or Dolby or something. I don't know what I watched it in. But it was sick. And seeing like something that was CGI with that much detail, it truly was amazing. And the screen was like huge. So I really enjoyed watching that one. I think that was the most like dope cinematic one I've ever seen, that I remember at least. But
Side note,
the
I still
coolest
haven't seen any of the
experience,
Avatars.
bro, get out of here. And then the coolest experience I have is when we watched Twister in 4DX, because that genuinely, when I think about it, like I'll never forget that. Like, and it was the perfect movie to watch in. Like you're spinning in a tornado, so like all of a sudden you feel the lift off, and then you're spinning, and then there's little splashes of water because it's raining and things like that. It was honestly, it was just so dope, and I think it was perfect. It was with our friends, you were visiting. It was with my wife, like people I haven't seen in a while. Like it was a great time.
It was crazy. I literally thought my cup was gonna fall out of my holder multiple times. Like
I thought I was gonna fall out of the seat.
yeah, and like we went into it because we had never been. It was our first time. We thought it was gonna be like like a vibrating seat or something like that. Like
Yeah, not like a
this
stationary
thing
roller coaster.
it's literally like a universal like simulator bay. It's crazy. Nice. Those are two good ones. I really do need to see the Avatars though, because I've heard they're great movies.
Yeah.
So for me, all right, I'm going to say two because they both came last year, and one was number one until this other one came around. So the first one was going to be Dune 2. I went and saw that movie 3 times. I went and saw it in Dolby, and when I saw it in Dolby, I was blown away, and I was like, I have to see this in IMAX. So I went and saw it in IMAX. And then I wanted to take my girlfriend to see it. So we went and saw it in Prime. So I actually saw it in all 3 movie formats. It's IMAX, Dolby, Prime. Like, Prime is not even really up there. It's really IMAX and Dolby. But the IMAX screen is just insane. But, I mean, just the sound and the visual and the storyline. And, I mean, it's amazing. Like, seeing that display of science fiction on a huge screen was just like, it just blew me away. Like I was just sitting there like in awe. It was crazy. But then they did the re-release of Interstellar in IMAX last year at the end of the year, and me and my roommate went to see it. It's his favorite movie. It's probably like one of my favorite movies. Now I had seen it before once, but it was like a long time ago, so I was like really excited to go and see it in theater because I never saw it in theaters. And just seeing that in IMAX, bro, I mean, it was a late showing too. Like, I think it was like 10:30. That's like almost a 3-hour movie. And like, bro, every single person in the theater is just locked in. Like, there's literally not a single person on their phone or dozing off. Like, we're all just sitting there like, and it was just magnificent, bro. Like, there was nothing like it. I mean, just the visual display. Obviously, like that storyline is amazing. There's so much depth to it. There's so much emotional connection to it. And it was just like everybody walked out. It looked like they just got off, like in Drake and Josh when they got off that roller coaster. They were like,
Yeah.
it was kind of like that. Everybody was just like zoned, bro. So yeah, that was definitely my number one for now. We'll see if that changes in the future, but that's going to be a hard one to beat. But real quick, just for an honorable mention, because I do want to shout this out, was Top Gun Maverick when that came out a couple years ago. Dude, that was such a fun film. Did you ever see it?
Nope.
Oh my gosh, bro. In theaters, like, because they have like these shots of them like in the jets, flying the jets, and like it was just so captivating and fun and just like thrilling. It was a really, really good time at the theater. So those are probably like my top 3 for now. But yeah, Interstellar takes the cake for sure.
But well, sounds fun.
All right, well that's gonna wrap up this episode. This is episode 7.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, we thank you guys for tuning in again this week. And we hope that you'll continue to tune for the rest of the season. And hear what else we have to talk about. Who knows? We don't know yet, but it'll be something.
Amen.
And it'll definitely have food in it.
Yeah, or a drink.
All right, well, in case you forgot from the beginning of the episode, or maybe you're tuning in at the end, my name is Tyler.
My name is Gabriel, and don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms. Check out our content, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know of any feedback or any questions. And, yeah.
Peace.
Peace.
Catching Up Podcast. If you're not caught up, you're catching up.
I don't necessarily know what that means.